Antonietta Schmidt. I'm going to be presenting a climatological perspective and timeline event. How common is this from a climatological perspective? Climate change has made extreme weather events like Hurricane Maria to become more common in terms of its magnitude and precipitation. However, Hurricane Maria intense amount of precipitation was the highest in the past 60 years in Puerto Rico. Climate researchers Kellings and Hernandez Ayala found that an extreme event like Maria was 4.85 times more likely to happen in the climate of 2017 than in 1956. Also, according to the study, in the 1950s, a storm like Maria was likely to drop that much that much rain once every 300 years. But in 2017, that likelihood dropped to about once every 100 years. Let me change the screen. Okay, okay, perfect. Now I'm going to talk about timeline of events. National Weather Service issues freeze Hurricane watch on September 18, days before landfall. On September 19, one day before, hurricane is between Category 4 and 5. On September 20th, landfall winds of 155 and Category 4, and cyclone is almost Category 5. September 21st, one day after, rain continues, everything destroyed. 1 week after, 16 people announced death. 10 days after, 55% of Puerto Rico has no clean drinking water, but half grocery stores reopened. After 11 days, Pentagon personnel from 4,600 to 6,400 and 8,800 people keep in refugee centers. Thank you.
Were there any actions taken? No, because according to the Emergency Preparedness and Hurricane Maria, the experience of a regional academic medical center in southwest Puerto Rico, they said Maria disabled radars, weather stations, and cellular telephone towers across Puerto Rico. This created a communication vacuum in which officials initially were unaware of the extent of damage to the island's infrastructures and to the number of dead or injured individuals. Electric power was also lost on the entire island within a few minutes after the hurricane struck. Only one radio station was operational, and it could only transmit information provided by individuals that were able to get to the station. The social and economic consequences. For societal, suicide rates spiked after Hurricane Maria, especially among the elderly. Prolonged periods of no power and water caused many to feel the efforts of pre-existing mental health issues such as depression. And the economics, where Governor Ricardo Russula estimated that Maria cost at least US dollars, $90 billion in damage. Approximately 80% of the territory's agriculture was lost due to the hurricane, with agriculture estimates at $780 million.
Political implications. On September 20th, 2017, Trump issued a disaster declaration. On October 12th, 2017, the House passed a legislation that would provide $36.5 billion in disaster relief funding, providing $18.7 billion for FEMA Relief Fund, $16 billion to address National Flood Insurance Program debt, and $1.27 billion for food assistance. On October 26, 2017, Trump signed the bill of $36 billion in emergency aid. Federal government required Puerto Rico government to agree on how the monetary relief would be allocated, which required implementing reforms. It took a long time for them to figure out where it was most important to allocate the money, and so it took a little bit longer to figure that out. Congressional Democrats and Puerto Rico officials publicly criticized the Trump administration for stalling aid to assist recovery. Local government was badly hurt, making it hard to assist federal response. According to the governor of Puerto Rico, funding was delayed. President Trump's administration was widely criticized for its poor response. FEMA did not have the capacity to do its mission, especially after simultaneous disasters. There had been a few other storms before it. FEMA fully acknowledges in its after-action report the need to invest more in training staff who will deploy to disasters. They had a shortage of staff deployments, non-Spanish speaking. Trump opposed granting more disaster funding to Puerto Rico. He insisted that all was well in Puerto Rico. He chose to attack the press and Mayor Cruz for refuting. It wasn't okay in Puerto Rico. Half of the public says federal government is not doing enough to restore basic services in Puerto Rico. Recommended actions for future events. Federal and state agencies should collaborate in preparing for and responding to major disasters. States should be building their own resources, just in case, invest and prepare for major outages, providing access to basic sources of energy. Better coordination between all levels of government to provide the needs for a particular event. Treat every state equally as important. Simplifying the process to get the government disaster relief funding. Congress and President should give FEMA the resources, funding, disaster response kits, and staffing to help prepare for future weather disaster, and increase awareness to citizens that can help and how they